Hello and welcome to another tutorial for 7 Days to Die, my newest obsession when it comes to gaming. Pardon me. I'm going to show you how to use the NitroGen map generator, because the vanilla map generator can take an absurdly long amount of time to produce a map. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy it can be to make one with a lot more fine-tuning to your desires with NitroGen. Now in Alpha 20, the next big update, they're supposed to at some point have a serious overhaul of the vanilla generator, the map generator, but we'll see if it is still anywhere near as good as NitroGen. So you download, just Google NitroGen 7 Days to Die, you'll find it. Download it, unzip the file, and you'll have something that looks like this. The files folders. If you want to use the compo pack, you need to download you'd have to, 7 Days to Die compo pack, and then follow the instructions for that. But basically what you'd need to do is that you can download a resource file, prefab list, compo pack, and the latest one I think is 47. I haven't checked it for a while. And you need to put that in the resources folder for NitroGen. But if you're just going to use the vanilla stuff, you're not using compo pack or any additional prefabs, you don't have to worry about that. So you just start up the program, and it's going to pop up over here on my other screen. And this is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see this relatively well. I don't know if I can zoom in maybe. That makes it a little bit bigger. Actually, it just expands how much room it takes up. It doesn't really make it bigger. So what you need to do, again, if you're going to use the compo pack, you need to come over here to prefab list and select what you're going to use. And even if you do have compo pack installed, if you don't want to use it for a map, you can still select vanilla. You can even make your own custom lists and stuff. So your settings, the first thing you'll want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and start a new playthrough that I'm going to call the Architect, which will be about horde-based designing and testing them out. So I don't know if I'm spelling that right, but screw it. So the two options you have for vanilla are the 4K maps and 8K maps. For one-player mode, this gives you a lot of options, including really huge maps, but they are very resource intensive on your computer. My computer that I'm using is not terrible, but it's not like super high grade either. Plus, you make really big maps. It takes forever to get someplace, and if it's a multiplayer thing on a server, I could see making bigger maps because there's more people. You're going to run out of stuff to do faster. But for single player, 8K or 4K to 8K is more than sufficient. I mean, even if you did like 2 POIs a day, if this thing has like 300 and some POIs, which is points of interest, or the locations, the buildings, and the various things that can spawn into the maps, parks, playgrounds, it's not just buildings, but all of that stuff. But, even if you did 2 a day, let's say there's 100 in a 4K map. I know there's more than that, but just for ease of math, that still means it would take you 50 days to do all of them. And that's if you could somehow manage to navigate your way all around the map and still do 2 every single day. I mean, that's 50 days of gameplay. And if you have loot respawn enabled, by the time you hit day 30, you still have 20 more that you could, or rather, you still have 20 more days worth of POIs you could loot, and then the other 30 days worth, as long as you haven't gone too close to them, have all respawned their loot, so you can do those again. And I know there's more than that in a 4K map. So I find it, for my taste, a 6K map is perfect for a single player game. With NitroGen, you have plenty of things to loot and do, especially with Combo Pack. And the size is big enough to give you space to explore, but small enough that it doesn't take you forever just to get someplace. But again, that's my preference. I like the 6K maps for single player. Okay, so you'd have to have an output folder. I just have it, or by default it should be the output folder, so you probably won't need to worry about that. You do have to make sure it is a new name, otherwise it won't generate anything if it's a repeated name. So landscape changes these settings over here, and you can choose different options: completely flat, balanced, random, random no mountains, random no desert, random no rocky hills, mostly flatland, mountains and flatland, more mountains, mountains plus rocky hills, more deserts, deserts and flatland, deserts and rocky hills, oasis, which would be a big chunk of like pine forest in the middle of a desert. So the settings that I tend to roll with is mostly flatland with some random elements thrown in. But you can tweak all that stuff to your preferences. Smoothing, you can mouse over the titles over here and it'll tell you what it does. Smooths over the terrain. Too smooth will make traveling easier, but it doesn't look natural. I tend to go to just a bit smoother because the vanilla map gen can make things where you have a road going up almost a sheer cliff, and like no one would build that in real life. It looks very bizarre. Flatland style, you can have it very flat, mostly flat default, more hills or all hills. I tend to just go with default because it works. Biomes, you can add in burned and wasteland, or have only a single type of biome if you want to do like a challenge sort of thing, like all wasteland or something. I put in add burned and wasteland, usually. I like to use wasteland as the border biome. But you can set it to water, which is what's normally the border of a map, but I kind of like using the wasteland because I really don't like going in the wasteland, so that's kind of an indication to stay the hell out of here to me. North and south, you can set it to nothing and it just makes the whole map, um, whatever your settings are. Or you can set it for north is snow, south is desert, or north is snow and south is desert, which is how I usually set it. Roads, I like a lot of roads, so I go ahead and have it on many, which makes it take slightly longer to generate the map. It has no impact on game performance, just takes a little bit longer to generate a map. Road type, I just set it on default because I don't think that's even fully implemented. No, okay, it does. Because that affects the terrain along the road. Then I'll change that to white. What the hell? Road condition, I tend to go no damage. Or you can set it to where there's lots of damage or whatever. Lakes, you can put in lots of lakes or uh, no lakes, whatever. You can have rivers. I've got it set to few. Cracks, I have it on none because if you turn that on, you end up with cracks in the terrain all over the place, which means you run into issues when you're using a vehicle, like you're just driving along and suddenly you're in a crevasse. You can set where your player spawns in. I have it on random right now, but I usually go near town just because it's more convenient. City traders, you can determine where the traders are. You can have no city traders, one in every city or one in every city in town. Currently, I've got it on one in every city. Traders, you can have a single trader in the entire map if you want, one per city. No traders at all. If you want to set up some kind of no trader challenge, you can do that. Few traders, default, many, or lots. I have it on default plus city traders currently, but I'll put it on lots, and you can see just how many traders you end up with. In fact, I'll put it at one in every city in town, just so you can see. Cities, I have it on default, which is how many it spawns in, and then city size I have on small, because cities seriously impact your performance, I find, because of the zombies that spawn into the different locations. And with Compo Pack, you can have an absurd number of zombies spawn into a location. And all that stuff spawning in can crash your game. It does mine sometimes. So I tend to put the number of cities at default and the city size at small, because I don't usually have problems when I do that or use those settings. If you have a better computer than mine, I'm using 24 gigs of RAM. I have a Ryzen 3, I think first generation, 3.4 gigahertz processor, and a 4 gigabyte, pretty good. One of the newer, I think 5500 something Radeon AMD chip graphics cards, the 4 gigabyte ones. I think that's something like that. So, again, my computer is not terrible by any stretch, but it's not super high tier either. It's, a typical gaming computer, I'd say. And as old as this game is, and that's probably a lot of the problem, it can be a real performance hog, a resource hog. So I tend to just go with, the city size small, city grid, which is not fully implemented, medium. That's, I think, the default setting, so I just leave that alone. Towns, I usually set to lots. Town size large, farms default. But again, you can put it to none, very few default, many, or lots. For farms, rednecks is trailer parks, like the Old West looking towns, Outback POIs, which is single POIs or small groups of them in the countryside, mountain huts, car lots, highways I've never tried to use because I don't really see the point. And then Compo Pack adds in custom towns. I'm not sure if there are any by default, but I just have that one of each type. Like the Combo Pack, I know there's like a Chinese village or something, complete with a castle. I think it's supposed to be like a tourist trap or something. But the stuff over here, height map, I leave it on generate new, import from. I just leave that on default. POIs, generate new default special zones off, because you can, if you use the Darkness Falls mod, overhaul mod, you can put in the special zones for that on here. Maps to generate, I have it set on 2, but I'm going to go to 1 map, because you can generate up to 10 maps at a time. If if there's something specific you want, you can generate 10 maps, and that way you can look at them and pick and choose what you want. Scenario, there is no particular scenario here, but you can set it to no POIs. If you want to do some sort of challenge, you can set that up. So that's how everything works. Now you can see just how fast this thing is and why it's called NitroGen. So we're generating a single 4K map. Generate world. It's running, exporting 1 of 3, 2 of 3. Three of 3. Terrain generation is already done. Running world mapping. It's already generating the towns, counting 74 sheep. 25, 50, okay. Exporting, 1, 2. 3. Finish generation. Total time taken, 1 minute, 10 seconds. Output. And it was the architect, I believe. Here is our folder. We can look at a preview of it. This is what the map looks like. As you can see, most of the cities and stuff are over here to the east. All of the pink dots are traders. So there's just right over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 trader locations just in this area right here. That's what happens when you set it to lots of traders. As you can see, we have burnt splotches, and then there's some wasteland, like where things, like an explosion has happened, a missile strike or something. Snow up to the north, plus a mountain over here that's all snowy. Desert to the south. No extra desert inside of the middle area. And that's the map. 6K map in a little over a minute. An 8K map takes about 3.5 minutes. And that's why it's worthwhile to use NitroGen. And then after you use it, let's see, the only thing you have to do then is you open up your PC, or whatever it's called. Mine is just this PC. C drive, program data, no. Users. Your username, app data, roaming, 7 days to die, which should be the first one there. Generated worlds. Copy the folder from output. Paste it in. And you're good to go. You just have to select the architect or whatever, you select your map name when you start a new game. Nice and easy, way more options, way faster. Very much worthwhile. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. And if you did, or just enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel so you know when new content goes up. Leave a comment if there's anything else you'd like to see video-wise, any other tutorials, and I'll help you if I can. I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best. And share the video. All that stuff helps YouTube know that the video is being watched, and it'll put it out there for more people to find. That's how their logarithms work. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. So long.